The Crosslayer is a versatile and yet inexpensive tape laying system, as an alternative to a robot-based tape laying system. Thanks to the compact design, the space requirement is considerably less than that of robot-based systems. That means with simple programming, the user is able to create individual tape scrims of powder-impregnated fiber tapes or pre-preg material. In addition to the small batch, production also means the uncomplicated production of individual scrims for experimental and development purposes. Simple programs such as scrims with rectangular, diamond-shaped or circular outline can easily be created directly with the control system of the Crosslayer. Externally created programs, for example for scrims with complex geometry, can be read in and processed via a USB interface. The base frame is a vibration-resistant frame of the machine made of light aluminium profiles with clear and functional design. In the mobile machine frame with swivel casters, there are drawers on the operator side for tools and accessories, for example. You can also store tape spools. The switch cabinet is located at the back. Independent compressed air supply is built into the frame of the machine and is accessible via a flap. The tape laying head can be rotated for 360 degrees along B-axis, and its height can be pneumatically increased and reduced along Z-axis. The tape laying head consists of the following units: spool take-up for powder-impregnated fiber tapes, feeding and clamping rollers for feeding the tape during the process, cutting device for defined cutting of the tape, heating device for activating the binder, and clamping or contact roller for tape laying. The tape laying frame can be moved along X and Y axes. Easily exchangeable frames made of aluminium profiles serve as the laying area for the tapes, into which a glass fiber cloth is clamped as a temporary or permanent carrier material for the tape laying by means of clamping bars. These frames are plugged into the mountings on the movable work surface on the XY traverse and held magnetically. After the frame has been removed from the work area, the finished tape scrim can be detached from the glass fiber cloth or removed with it, so that the frame is then available again for the next process. At the same time, the next laying process can be started with an additional frame. The control panel of the Crosslayer is designed to be pivotable, on the one hand to enable comfortable programming, but on the other hand to have unhindered access and insight into the work area of the system while the laying process is running. When retracted, the display is deactivated to avoid unintentional operations. Therefore, no access to the control system is possible. The control panel is pneumatically swiveled out and in using a rotary switch. The touch screen extends and becomes active again. The control system is operated via the touch screen. The system control is divided into 5 areas, of which each is displayed on the corresponding display and can be called up using the select buttons on the right-hand side of the touch screen. The button of the currently displayed control area is shown with a green bar. Under the Auto button, you will find the displays of all control elements required for operating and setting up the system. There are buttons for manually moving the machine axes as well as loading and starting programs. The Setting button shows you all parameter values. The values can be changed here if necessary. You can display the input and output areas under the I/O button. On the input side, you can see the current switching states of the hardware limit switches of all axes, the status of tape monitoring, internal compressed air supply, and other important functions. The Alarms button displays you all error and warning messages during the process. Under the Editor button, programs for tape scrims can be created. In addition, next to the selection of basic shapes in the form of rectangular, diamond-shaped and circular surfaces, there is the possibility to load and open external created programs. The control system of the Crosslayer has a special operating system based on Linux. After switching on the Crosslayer, the control system starts up automatically using the main switch on the rear panel of the machine. After the control system has started up, Auto is displayed as the main touchscreen. All the basic functions for moving and setting up the Crosslayer are summarized here. The currently active program is also displayed here. Switching to other touchscreens, for example, display of machine parameters, switching states, error messages, and the programming level is done by selecting the corresponding buttons on the right-hand side of the screen. Separate displays and available features are described in the following sections. You can change the values on all touchscreens of the control system by clicking the corresponding data field. Then the keyboard is displayed, which is used to enter the desired value and confirm it by pressing the Enter button. The keyboard is hidden again by accepting or confirming. WCS. Here you will find the Workpiece Coordinate System, MCS. Here you will find the Machine Coordinate System. Go to. Enter the desired coordinates of the target in the corresponding data fields. All axes for which the target coordinate is added can be moved simultaneously after pressing Start, provided that the fields are filled with values. The display panel shows the tape tracks of the current program. WCS or MCS. Here you can set the axes of the machine by pressing the plus or minus button to move manually the desired axis of the machine. X. Move the laying frame to the left or right. Y. Move the laying frame forward or backward. B. Rotate the tape laying head to the left or right. Go to. Enter the desired target coordinates in the corresponding data fields. F. Reset. Displays the tape length placed since the last reset. Press the button to reset the display to 0, for example after installing a new spool or after starting the program cycle. Override. Here you can see the current set feed speed. Change the displayed value by moving the button. Current lane. Number stored in the program of the current tape lane to be placed. Current speed. Here you can see the current feed speed. Reset. The current messages are displayed in the header of the current touch screen and in section Alarms. All messages can be quit by using this button. Job start or stop. Run or stop the selected program. Once the program has started, it is impossible to switch to another display, for example setting or I/O. Requirements to starting a new job. 1. No active errors. 2. The controls, except F, are active, and 3. A program is selected. Lift head. Lift the tape laying head. The button is inactive while the program is running. Reset lane. With this button you can jump back to another tape lane of the current program. After pressing Job Stop and Lift Head, the selection is entered and confirmed using the keyboard in the current lane data field. When the value is changed and the Reset Lane button is pressed, the operation starts and continues at the specified lane of the tape. Load Job. Select a saved program from the directory. After pressing the Load Job button, a dialog box appears on the taskbar, where the user can select the desired program, NC data. The programs or jobs are located under the following path. A special feature was determined that allows to download the program from a USB device, as well as edit and save on USB. After connecting the USB drive, you can download and run directly from the USB drive in the following USB subfolder. Edit job. Create a new program. The current loaded program opens in an external editor and can be modified and saved. The external editor can be closed by using the X button in the upper right corner of the screen. 0 point. Accept the current position as the 0 point. The button sets the WCS values to 0. The program displayed in the job viewer can be shifted based on the 0 point so that the user can determine whether or not the programmed tape scrim is within the permissible traverse paths. Init tape. Accept cutting of the tape and position of the cut as a 0 point of the tape. After pressing the button, the tape laying head is first lifted, if necessary, then the feed roller moves the fiber tape out for about 100 mm and cuts it off. Then it pauses for 5 seconds so that the user can remove the section of tape. After that, the end of the tape is then moved to the start position. Open clamp. Lift the clamping roller of the tape feed roller, for example, when pulling in a new tape. More or back. The continuation of the footer to the Info and Setup buttons. Here you can see the minimum or maximum feed speed and the acceleration values of the machine axes and the tape feed. The output of the halogen heating lamp is synchronized with the speed of the axes. If this happens too slowly, the offset is used in such a way that the fiber tape is nevertheless sufficiently heated. The full heating output of the halogen heating lamp, where the set percentage value of the maximum feed speed of the machine axes is reached, Vmax 100% equals 0.5 meters per second. The utilization factor of the halogen lamp output power is between 0 to 100%, maximum power. The output power of the halogen heating lamp to warm up the start of the tape. The lower value between this value and the maximum output is used in combination with the halogen lamp timer. The preheating time of the halogen heating lamp before the next tape lane. Default tape length when cutting short. Default tape length when cutting long. Retraction length of the tape feed during cutting off, tensioning the tape. Speed when moving the axes manually, in percentage of Vmax. The acceleration when moving the axes manually, as a percentage of the value stored under 1. The distance between the value of the machine coordinate system, MCS, and the original value of the x-axis. The distance between the value of the machine coordinate system, MCS, and the original value of the y-axis. The length of the working area of the x-axis. The length of the working area of the y-axis. To display the state of the hardware limit switch, red when approaching. To display the state of the hardware limit switch of B-axis, rotating tape laying head, red when approaching. Tape empty, no tape, monitoring by sensor in front of the tape feed roller. Status display of the internal compressed air supply system, compressor. Status display of the work area safety light barrier. Status display of the 24-volt power supply. Status display of the fuse protection of the halogen heating lamp. Ignore the error message from tape monitoring. Tape is empty. If it is activated, the feed cutoff is reset. The laying process can be continued without a tape. To manually turn on or off the halogen heating lamp outside the tape laying process. Turn on or off the cooling fan between the halogen heating lamp and the clamping roller outside the tape laying process. Turn on or off the drives. Extend or retract the long stroke cylinder for lowering and lifting the tape laying head. Extend or retract the short stroke cylinder for lowering and lifting the tape laying head. lower or lift the clamping roller of the tape feeder outside of the tape laying process. Cut without tape retraction. Reset or emergency stop. Reactivate the safety relay after being triggered by the light barrier in front of the work area. Here you will find all the current system messages that are also displayed in the display header. After elimination and quitting of the fault, the messages become deleted. Enter the program or layer name here. This button takes you to the selection of basic scrim shapes: square, diamond-shaped, circular shape. Width, the nominal width of the selected basic scrim shape, x-axis. Height, the nominal height of the selected basic scrim shape, y-axis. Step size, the target distance, center to center, between the tape lanes that must be laid. Center X, the positioning of the scrim center in the x-axis direction. Center Y, the positioning of the scrim center in the y-axis direction. Angle, the angle of the tape lanes to be laid. For example, 0 degrees equals horizontally, 90 degrees equals vertically. Power, the power level of the heating lamp for all tape lanes of the currently created program block. Speed, the feed speed of the axes for the currently created program block. Display area of the currently programmed tape lanes. These pages are only accessible for trained service personnel with a password. After switching on the Crosslayer with the main switch on the rear panel of the machine, the control system starts up automatically. Then the start screen of the control system is displayed. When inserting a tape spool, pay attention to the direction of the takeoff. The takeoff is made in a clockwise direction. Now put the spool on the axis of the spool take-up. Now the white brake disc should be attached to the spool in such manner that 2 protrusions enter the grooves on the spool. Then screw on the spring cap. Tighten the spring cap just enough so that the spool cannot turn on its own, and the tape unintentionally runs off the spool. The further the knurled screw handle is rotated to the right, the greater is the braking effect. The fiber tape is drawn into the laying head as follows. Cut the beginning of the tape at an angle to ease its insertion. Use the open clamp button to lift the clamping roller of the tape feeder to pull the tape in. Finally, the Init Tape button is used to cut the tape using the cutting device, and at the same time sets the edge of the cut at 0 for the tape length. Now remove the tape section from the tape guide. When the tape is cut, the clamping roller, lifted to pull the tape in, is simultaneously lowered again. Programs can also be created externally independently of the Crosslayer according to individual specifications and read in via the USB interface. A preprocessor, which is used to generate a machine sequence program from a DXF file, is used to generate a program from the start and end points of tape lanes and their subprograms. Press the Auto button to display the basic touch screen. By pressing the Load Job button, you can select and import the desired program. Then you have to select the program file from the system drive or a USB stick and open it. The USB interface is located on the control panel to the right of the touch screen. After you have created or read in the program for tape laying process, it may be necessary to manually move the tape laying frame to the desired start position using the X, Y buttons. In general, the start point is usually already set in the program. If the used tape length must be recorded for the current program, the length measurement can be set to 0 using the F Reset button. By pressing the 0 point button, the resulting manually set position is taken as a new 0 point. The programmed scrim is now displayed in the display area with all tape lanes and traverse paths. The representation of the programmed scrim must be completely within the display area. The machine stops the process when it reaches a lane that is outside the permissible laying area, and an error message appears. Now press the Job Start button to start the process, and laying the tape lanes in the programmed sequence and orientation layer by layer. Before or after each program run, it is recommended to check the tape guides and rollers, and if necessary to remove loose fibers from the tape guides using tweezers. If the fibers are stuck or tangled during the process must be interrupted by pressing the Job Stop button to remove the fibers and eliminate the cause of fault. After processing the current program, the Crosslayer moves the tape laying frame to the end position. Now the laying frame can be removed from the machine. If necessary, after inserting a new laying frame, you can start the process of processing the next tape scrim while the scrim is being removed or fed to the subsequent process section, for example, embroidery. Emergency chain is not closed. The emergency stop chain is triggered after a critical error or after pressing the emergency stop button. Closing the emergency stop button and pressing reset corrects the error. If the machine is outside the position limits, the emergency stop chain cannot be closed. When the emergency stop is pressed, the axes can be manually shifted back by hands into the permissible range. End switch of axis Y master positive has been triggered. The position of the axis is outside the limit range. A corresponding error message appears when the axis limit switch is triggered. Here is an example using the Y-axis. The affected axis must be moved back to the valid area to eliminate the malfunction. Tape is empty. The tape is empty. Either the tape should be refilled or Ignore Empty Tape can be selected. Axis feed roller. Output limit exceeded. Check the feed roller for the fiber tape. The fibers may be drawn. Then quit the error by pressing the reset button. The clear structure of the Crosslayer does not require a lot of effort for regular maintenance. However, in order to ensure a trouble-free operation for a long time, a few points must be reviewed or processed regularly. Remove the loose fibers on the fiber tape guides and on the cutting device. Also check the tight fit of the guide elements. Visually check the operation of the fans on the heating elements. A visual inspection of the fans for cooling the contact roller is also required. Check that the knife holder is correctly and firmly seated. The cutting edge must be parallel to the axis of the contact roller. Otherwise, it must be readjusted. Check the gear belts of the transport unit for sufficient tension, and replace them if necessary. Empty the water separator weekly. Empty the air compressor tanks weekly. Place a suitable container underneath and open the tap. Vacuum out the switch cabinet ventilation filter monthly. Lubricate the linear guides of X and Y axes every 6 months. To do this, remove the lid or the flap cover of Y-axis and check the gear belt for sufficient tension and wear. If necessary, replace them. Before starting any dismantling work on the tape laying head, turn off the compressed air supply. If the machine is operated via the built-in compressor, this can be done via the shut-off valve directly on the compressor, or if the machine is operated via the customer's compressed air supply, by disconnecting the compressed air coupling or closing the on-site shut-off valve. Remove the May installed tape spool. Disconnect the power supply of the tape laying head. Remove the cover by loosening the screw connection using the SW3 Allen key. Use a suitable pad to protect the tabletop from damage when removing the head. Loosen the screw connection of the tape laying head using an SW5 Allen key. Now remove the entire unit. The replacement head is installed in the reverse order. Loosen the knurled screw handle and remove it together with the spring cap and brake discs. The fiber tape spool may have to be removed in advance. Loosen the mounting of the spool axis using the SW3 Allen key and pull out the axis from the socket. The new parts are installed in the reverse order. When installing a new spool axis, it must be ensured that the machined clamping surface is at the right angle to the clamping screw. The hub must be adjusted so that the tape passes through the center from the spool into the tape guides. Disconnect the compressed air connections. Loosen the screw connection of the tape guide in front of the cutting device using an SW2.5 Allen key and remove the component. Loosen the screw connection of the cutting device on the back of the base plate using an Allen key of size 5 and pull off the unit. In case of resistance, carefully beat out the pins with a plastic hammer. The new parts are installed in the reverse order. Unclip the bolt from the fork head of the pneumatic cylinder and remove it. Unscrew the holder screw in front and then in the rear, so that you can remove the entire cutting unit. New parts are installed in the reverse order. Loosen the electrical connection at the junction box. Dismantle the screw connection of the heating element on the back of the base plate using an SW3 Allen key. New parts are installed in the reverse order. Disconnect the electrical connection at the junction box. Dismantle the screw connection of the cooling system using an SW3 Allen key and remove the unit. New parts are installed in the reverse order. Dismantle the screw connection of the cooling system using an SW3 Allen key. Now slide the unit to the side. The electrical connection does not necessarily have to be released. Now loosen the screw connection of the knife holder using an SW2.5 Allen key and remove the unit. Attention! Danger of injury by knife. Now you have to dismantle the screw connection of the unit contact roller on the back of the base plate using an SW4 Allen key. Then remove the unit. If necessary, carefully beat out the adjustment pins with a plastic hammer and a punch of 4 mm. The new parts are installed in the reverse order. Dismantle the screw connection of the knife holder using an SW2.5 Allen key and remove the unit towards the front. The new part is installed in the reverse order. When tightening the screw connection, it must be ensured that the blade, within the scope of the bore tolerances, is aligned vertically parallel to the axis of the contact roller. Loosen the electrical connection of the light barrier in the junction box. Then loosen the pulley using an SW3 Allen key. Then dismantle the screw connection of the tape channel segment with light barrier using an SW2.5 Allen key. Both units must now be pulled out sideways. Loosen the screw connection of the cutting device of the tape guide using an SW2.5 Allen key and remove the component. Dismantle the screw connection of the tape channel segment in front of the heating element using an Allen key SW2.5 and remove it. The new parts are installed in the reverse order.